Hi, this is Josh Adams with Unueco Partio. Today I'm shooting from my apartment in my kitchen, but I wanted to talk about sustainable development. This will be my first video about it, and I was thinking about how sustainable development is usually talked about, when the few times it is really talked about. You kind of hear it more in academic circles. You don't really hear it too much in the media. You don't really hear about it in politics. And I think it's because it's a very difficult thing to talk about. A lot of times sustainable development it's usually framed in this false dichotomy where you either have economic development versus environmental conservation. And I think that does a great disservice to future generations of this planet, because you can actually have both. I don't think that the cost of today's development should come at the future of the future generation. So, one of the main things that's missing in this type of conversation, when it does happen, is kind of like what's the underlying philosophical framework? Like, what's our starting point? What are we trying to achieve? What is sustainable? And so I wanted to kind of refer to my book, Unueco Partio, Creating a Single Currency. In chapter 8, I wrote, the most important question that the government must answer is, what is the quality of life we desire for all members? For now, I'll say economically or materially, every family should have a right to shelter, food, water, suitable clothing for their environment, education, electricity, and access to transportation networks. Now, others within a local government may make other decisions, but for the sake of the book, I defined as those basic needs. Now, why did I kind of just choose that? I think that could be I think if we can establish a baseline minimum of what each human being has the dignity and right to, then we can start planning as to how can we achieve that at every level of our organization, whether it's like with a tribe or a village or county, parish, state, nation, or any other way that we choose to group ourselves. What should be the basics that each person should have? And sometimes I find it really disappointing that we struggle to even imagine what that could be. Last year there was a lot of talking points about how extreme poverty had been reduced substantially, like over 60% since the 1980s. Extreme poverty is defined as living at $1 per day. I think it was updated to $1.90 per day. And who wants to live on $1.90 per day? I know I don't, and I know you should not either. You can't do anything on $1.90. You can't achieve anything. You can't start a business. You can't have education. You won't have access to clean water. You know, there are dogs and cats in the United States who have better shelter than many people do. And I think it would be at least safe to say that any person would say that the value of a human life is greater than that of a dog. I love dogs, honestly. So so what should be the minimum basics of shelter be? How much space should it take? Should it be waterproof, weatherproof? Should it just be good enough just to keep the bugs out? Should it have access to clean water that's not tainted by parasites or industrial chemicals or any other type of waste that we produce, such as cow poop? you know, um, how much? What's the minimum requirement of food we need? Not just the the minimum, not like say food stamps, but like really what what what's the amount of food that a normal person should have, or a family. And you can define a family in different ways. Like in Germany, the average family size is two, a little over two people. In Burkina Faso, it's about six people. You can let those localities determine, the needs of a family based on the average family size. Um, Suitable clothing for the environment. Sometimes here you see people walking around. It's extremely hot, and they're still wearing jackets and jeans because they don't have anything else. Or you see in some areas where it's cold, and they don't have those jackets and stuff. They don't even have shoes on hot pavement. So it's the basic minimum of suitable clothing that we can have to protect ourselves from the environment, not just to be comfortable, but to be safe and secure. I included electricity, just because that's the foundation of all activity. Um, all development requires the use of energy and electricity. So I think that should be a basic minimum right as well. Transportation networks. Now, it doesn't have to mean that everyone needs to own BMWs or Teslas or something. You live by a river and use that river to live off of. You have access to getting around that, with the boat or a raft, canoe, kayak. You have access to buses, trains, bicycles, walking paths. Just you have access to transportation. It doesn't mean you have to use it. You have access to it. And then education. One of my goals with Unueco Partio is to develop a more holistic educational effort. And sometime I'll delve into that a little bit more. But I think in order to sustain development, we have to have a full-out educational system that not just teaches how to do, say, job tasks, or goes into the historical sciences and stuff, but actually teaches us to value each other and the world around us. It's something that's missing at every level of education. So I would love to know, what are your thoughts? Am I missing something? Am I overreaching? How would you define what the minimal requirements that any person needs to live at least a dignified life? And then secondly, is this world able to provide that? Do we have enough resources to do so? Does our current organization allow that to happen? Or does things need to change? I believe that there's no economic system currently in place that can provide a sustainable quality of life for every person on this planet. And as the population grows, I think that it's going to be even more challenging. That's the whole point of Unueco Partio, is really to organize in such a way that we can define and create a minimum quality of life that goes well beyond extreme poverty, or at least goes beyond those goals, so that each of us is valued equally and in a dignified way. There's no way a cat or a dog should have a better quality of life than any human being. I thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.